looked at the house, congratulations, got back on the plane and came home. So, and it was a pretty modest house. Nothing special.
So one trip, in that trip, did you ever witness Donald Trump at the house?
No,
Do you recall any other prominent figures at the Palm Beach house?
no, it was just Jeffrey and my friends,
Who were the other friends?
Judy and Steve Tuckerman, Dr. Stephen Tuckerman and his wife Judith.
I'm sure they'll be delighted about that.
No, they won't be. They're
Did
in
you,
heaven.
did you ever visit his island in the U.S. Virgin Islands?
Yes,
Can you tell us about those visits?
yes. Jeffrey invited us to see it, and we were on a boat, and we went to the island with our kids. So Abigail, myself, and I can't remember how many kids we had, 2, 3, or 4, but at least 2, walked around for a while and left. Probably an hour visit.
Okay, an hour. So on that trip, do you recall seeing any prominent figures on the island?
No, and it was a pretty crummy island.
Okay. Did you ever visit his ranch in New Mexico or his house in Paris?
Do you want to break those up for clarity?
Did you ever visit his ranch in New Mexico?
It was the same kind of thing. He wanted Abigail and I to see his ranch. We flew down there and drove around for an hour or two, got back on the plane and came home. And I don't think he had a house.
So you would fly just to go visit for 1 hour?
Yeah, I would fly to Europe for 1 hour on business trips. As crazy it is, getting on the plane and going places for me was like going to the mailbox. And he didn't have a house on the ranch, and I never knew he had a house in Paris.
And in the ranch in New Mexico that you spent an hour at, were there any prominent figures or anyone that you recall else being there?
No, as I recall, it was just Abigail, myself, and I think he'd rented a trailer, so it wasn't a house. And that's all I know.
Okay. And so to clarify, you didn't know he had a house in Paris, so you did not ever go to the house in Paris?
I didn't know he had a house in Paris, and therefore I didn't go to that house in Paris.
Okay.
Didn't.
During any of your visits to any of these properties, did you ever see any girls or women that looked unusually young?
No,
Did you ever hear rumors of any girls or women who looked unusually young visiting Epstein's properties or island?
no, never did.
During any
Or
visits
Finch.
to Epstein's property, did you ever see photographs or other images of women or minors?
Not that I recall.
Did you ever become aware of Epstein transporting women or minors using assets that you owned, whether that's a plane that you owned or a yacht that you owned?
Absolutely not, no.
And did you ever hear of any rumors related to Epstein's personal life or his sexual activities?
No,
Rumors that you may have heard in the grapevine.
that's kind of ambiguous. I mean, like, I'll answer you, and this, I think you're asking an ambiguous question. I would go to visit David Gergen at Harvard because I was very interested in the Center of Public Leadership. And David would say, Jeffrey was up here, your friend Jeffrey was up here, and he was visiting Henry Rosofsky, who was the dean of Harvard College, or he was visiting Larry Summers, and he always has an admin with him, or, a girl. And he says a woman, maybe more accurate. He said he never travels by himself.
And I think that's what I'm referring to. I mean, I don't think I'd get through a day without hearing a rumor about somebody. So I imagine somebody that you were close to, you probably heard.
No, but it wasn't, it was more like he was traveling with his admin or his secretaries or his lady lawyer or his lady accountant. That's what I would hear. But it wasn't, I never heard rumors about Jeffrey was traveling around with a girlfriend for this, or a girl. It was like, it was part of his, I don't know, social visits or something. It was always, if I heard, it was in reference to work, his work.
Ms. Crockett?
Yes, thank you. I actually want to start in a little bit of a different place really quickly. Dr. Mark Landon, are you familiar with him?
Who?
Dr. Mark Landon?
Yes,
Okay. He was paid by Epstein on your behalf to consult on biomedical investments, is that correct?
I just heard about that. I didn't know that until maybe, I don't know, the last few days.
Okay, so with you knowing Dr. Mark Landon, are you aware as to whether or not Dr. Landon ever was paid to render medical services to any of the alleged victims of Jeffrey Epstein?
No?
What is your relationship with Dr. Landon?
Abigail had a complicated pregnancy, and their general obstetrician, I believe, referred her to Mark Landon. He is an obstetrician. And that's how I met him, and he delivered our children.
Okay.
And so my relationship with him is my wife's doctor.
Did you ever introduce him to Jeffrey Epstein?
No,
Okay. All right. Did you ever spend time with Epstein and Donald Trump?
Together?
Yes.
I want to answer this question accurately. I would go to some of the Victoria's Secret fashion shows because it's very important to the brand. At some of the fashion shows, Jeffrey was there and some Trump was there. And I remember because Trump would always introduce himself to me. And I always thought it was kind of odd that he was at the fashion show because he had nothing to do with fashion. So the coincidence of them being together at an event, it could have been that, but I have no specific recollection. And never had a social or like a drink or a cup of coffee, something, you know, that would put them together.
Okay, so just to clarify, because I want to make sure we're clear on the record, you're saying that you can recall instances potentially where Epstein and Trump were together and you were in their presence, or just a random scenario where Epstein may be there, Trump may be there separately, and then you would be there?
It would be at random, that would be accurate. If it happened, but I have no specific recollection.
Okay. Did you ever see or become aware of President Trump having a sexual relationship with a person who was introduced to him by Epstein or Maxwell?
No,
Has Donald Trump ever discussed Jeffrey Epstein with you?
no,
Did Jeffrey Epstein ever discuss Donald Trump with you?
I would describe it, he would name drop it. So he would say things like, I know President Clinton, or I know the Pope, or I know God, or, you know, or I know you. It was that kind of name dropping, but never, I can't remember a specific place, but Jeffrey dropped a lot of names.
Okay. So to clarify, you believe he's specifically dropped Donald Trump's name?
No, I'm saying it could have, and I don't remember.
Okay. Did Epstein ever share any information with you about Donald Trump's sexual activities?
No,
Do you have a relationship with Donald Trump?
no,
But you've met him before.
he introduced himself to me at the fashion show a couple of times, but I wouldn't say, hello, how are you? Like you say, met, like we knew each other. We don't know each other. He wouldn't. I'd be shocked if he remembered me.
Okay. And I know that you specifically mentioned the island, that you have been to Jeffrey's Island. Do you recall seeing any of those persons that Jeffrey Epstein would name drop while you were on his island?
No, nobody was there but Abigail, myself, Jeffrey, maybe somebody cutting grass or something. There was a maintenance person, I think, but I don't specifically recall. I know for sure I was there, Abigail was there, Jeffrey was there.
And there wasn't anything abnormal about the appearance of the home on the island, and the reason that I asked, just to give you clarification on what I mean by abnormal, we've heard reports of people being thrown off when they walked into his home in New York because there was a massage table that was just sitting randomly in the middle of a room. Did you see anything like that when you visited any property that belonged to Jeffrey Epstein?
Well, first to clarify, when we visited the island, there was like a Pueblo building, like maybe a one room and a bathroom or something. It was pretty crummy. And the island was crummy. There were no trees, there was no sand, there was no beach. It was a kind of a peculiar thing. It was an island, but it was like a pile of rocks. It was just, I was kind of shocked that that anybody would buy it for any purpose. As far as seeing things, I never was in the house. I never at his house in New York. The house in Florida, we were there after he bought it, because I mentioned with the couple, so I never saw a massage table or anything.
Well, thank you so much, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Wexner, for your ability to answer a lot of questions. I think when you meet the survivors, it becomes incredibly personal, especially for women on this committee, so I appreciate it. But I'd like to introduce exhibit, I believe it's F. The article is titled, Jeffrey Epstein Made Regular Payments to Ohio State Head of Gynecology, Records Show, which is from a local affiliate. It's dated February 10, 2026, and we'll be able to get it to you. And it's about Dr. Rainey. I know they're passing it out, but Mr. Wexner, in the article, explains that recent Department of Justice files indicate that in early 2000, Epstein was making quarterly payments to Dr. Michael Landon, who is the OBGYN and the chair of the OBGYN department at Ohio State University. And you said that your wife received services from Dr. Landon, so you know him.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Landon said the payments were consulting services he provided for New York Strategy Group, which was some kind of firm associated with Epstein. Do you know why? Why was he getting paid a quarterly payment by Epstein?
Not a clue.
Okay. Do you know if there was gynecology services being offered to Epstein for victims, women?
No idea.
Because you're very associated with the Ohio State University, right?
Yes.
You were the board chair. Okay. Were you aware that Jeffrey Epstein was paying him quarterly payments?
No.
You weren't.
No.
Okay, so the article suggests that Epstein would bill you and your wife for at least one of these payments in 2005. Quote, as we have in prior years. That's evidence within the Department of Justice, Mr. Wexner. Were you aware of these $25,000 quarterly payments coming from your accounts in 2005 and earlier?
Not till this moment.
You know, Mr. Wexner, I'm watching this all unfold, and I just want you to know it's incredibly hard for people to understand you don't know this. Maybe you don't know the specific details. Maybe you don't know the dollar amounts. But Epstein was able to be empowered and enabled to hurt more people with your money. You understand that?
Oh yeah, he's a crook.
I know. But you don't know the purpose of the payment, and the money's coming from you. It's your money. And you don't know why he's paying a doctor at Ohio State University.
Sadly, I don't.
Did you introduce him to Dr. Landon?
No.
How did he meet Dr. Landon?
I wouldn't know that he met him.
Because Abigail, your wife received services from Dr. Michael Landon.
Yes, and so did my daughter.
Okay. So was it a routine practice for the New York State Strategy Group's expenses to be paid by your accounts?
I never heard of it.
It's weird because it's your money going in to pay for this consulting services of another company.
It's weird to me too.
So Dr. Landon never talked to you about these
Never,
quarterly payments?
never.
Something else that comes up, because one of the claims that you're saying that you're not close friends and everything, but, you know, some of us have access to the redacted emails, some of us already, I think majority of us
Sure.
have gone down there. There is constant claims from survivors, again, they're redacted from some of the communication directly with Maxwell or directly with other women that were helping Epstein. And your name comes up synonymously sometimes with Epstein. Did you know that?
Well, I know it now.
Well, they also said that you were lovers. And I know it's nothing to be ashamed of. I just want you to know.
It's so great.
No, it's nothing to be ashamed of. But it would explain, I think, the closeness that everyone consistently says. No one ever says you're not close. Is that, like, everyone says that you had a close relationship, that you and Epstein were close friends. Did you know that?
Objection, hearsay.
Okay. I think, Mr. Wexner, could you provide us with the name of every registered legal entity? And this is important, because if you don't know now, then give us the information. Help us find the people that hurt the girls with your money. I'm asking and urging you to, please. You started your business with your Aunt Ida's money. You don't want your legacy to be not just Epstein, but what is the guy's other's name? Dr. Richard Strauss? It's Richard Strauss, who also well, it doesn't matter. You were chair of the Ohio State University. You were the board chair at the time that he hurt other women, athletes on campus. This is to say to you, it's not only one person that hurt women, but now two that are affiliated with you directly. And I just want to urge you that if you don't know the answers to this, follow up with our committee, give us the information so we can find out who hurt the women and who benefited from it. So could you provide us with the name of every registered legal entity of which you were the beneficial owner between the start of your relationship with Mr. Epstein and his death? Can you provide that to the committee, sir?
I would provide you with everything and anything I could to nail that son of a bitch.
Please provide the entities' names, where they were registered, and the date of registration, and the names of whoever acted as the agent of those entities.
Can I request that you just put that request in writing and direct it to me,
I'll make sure.
and we'll take it
And-
and
And
respond
it's
to it.
important because, Mr. Wexner, so you know, the women, the survivors told us to follow the money consistently. The other question, and this will be my last, you claim that you have been a victim and defrauded by Epstein, correct?
Correct.
Then why didn't you file charges, go after him? He used money to hurt girls and probably young men. Why didn't you do anything to recoup your name, which has been synonymous with Epstein? Do you know your name comes up in the emails among victims who never met you, but your name was used consistently?
I'm not sure I understand what the question to
The
him is.
question is, why didn't you file any charges against Epstein if you conned you of $200 million that we know of? Why didn't you go after him?
Well, at the time I didn't know.
But when you
And
found out, why didn't you go after him? Is it because he was a good friend?
no,
You had
my
feelings for him.
dad is probably laughing. You know,
No,
one of the
I
thing,
know.
one of the, no, one of the things my dad told me that you don't get a pissing contest with an elephant. And running a public company for a long time, I'm not good at public relations or financial public relations. And so I would answer questions to analysts, I'd call people up and I'd tell them the truth. And what I learned in the course of my business career is, whether it was my chief of staff, the company lawyer, personal lawyers, what should I do? And the advice is, let us handle it. You don't want to get ahead of this.
But Mr.
So I'm happy that today is happening
Good.
because I want to help and I would do everything I can to
Let us
nail
find
that
who's
son of a
hurt the
bitch.
women,
And
because they might be hurting
Please let him,
more.
please let him finish.
And I can't tell you how much I value my own ethics, my own moral compass, that it has a true north. And what I think happened, now knowing about all the cons, is that Jeffrey would tell somebody that they were me or this was somebody else. Like, you and I've never met. right? I don't recognize you, but you're a congresswoman. I think, because,
Yeah, I never met you, but you're all over the emails.
yeah, but so I presume you're a congresswoman, and I presume you're not a man in women's clothing. But I don't know what I didn't know. And
Understand.
this is,
You know now, we can do something about it.
oh yeah,
So Wexner claims, you claim that you cut ties with Epstein in '07, right? Okay. But you emailed Epstein, quote, Abigail told me the response, all I can say is I feel sorry. You violated your own #1 rule. Always be careful, end quote. That was an email in 2008, Mr. Wexner. I know, I'm letting you know that the public knows.
probably. I was giving him the finger.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Mr. Wexner, just real briefly, did the FBI or Department of Justice ever directly speak to you about Epstein or Maxwell? Has the FBI or DOJ ever directly contacted you or spoken to you about Epstein?
Not to my knowledge.
Never.
Never.
And then finally, would you consider Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein friends or friendly? Would you classify them that way in the information that you have?
I think it's really two questions. Would I think they were friends? No. Jeffrey Epstein held him out as a friend.
Great, thank you.
We can go off the record.
We'll go back on the record.
What's that?
That is a microphone. Mr. Wexner, it is 1:17 in the afternoon. Our minority colleagues touched on a lot of different subject areas, and I just want to go back through and parse out some things. First, though, I want to enter as Exhibit 5 the letter from Les.
You have one more? I'll get back to the rest of it.
This document is titled Letter from Les, General News directed to the Wexner Foundation community. I will stipulate to you there's no date on here. The date it was posted on the website was August 8th, 2019. Do you guys have any reason to dispute that? In this letter that you wrote in August of 2019, you mentioned that you had that Mr. Epstein had various well-known, respected individuals as financial clients and in his inner circle. My question to you is, could you elaborate a little bit to who some of those financial clients were that you were aware of?
Well, it says Epstein represented that he had that. He wouldn't know if he did or not.
Were you aware of any of Mr. Epstein's other clients?
Let me think. Well, specifically, I talked to Ellie de Rothschild, and so I mentioned that earlier. So he represented their whole family, so there have been a whole bunch of people. Most of them I never would have met, but I knew Ellie. I never met people, but there were people that called me that either insinuated or said they knew Jeffrey through a financial relationship. And so, I mean, they could have been actors, but in the time, a guy calls me up. I'll give you an example.
It's just a
No,
question.
because I want you to understand this, because it's so confusing to me. He would say, like, I'm providing financial advice to the founders of Google. I'm providing financial advice to Jeff Bezos. I'm providing financial advice for the chief technologist at Google. And wow, I'm in good company because these are really smart guys with a lot of money. And you have to put yourself in the mindset of if my attorney said, he was qualified to argue in front of the Supreme Court, I'd believe him. I didn't say to call the Supreme Court and say, tell me, is he really an attorney or did he do this? And I'd get a phone call from someone like a guy named Meyerwald. Who said he was the chief technology of Google. Jeffrey has been helping me. He's financial advisor. I told Jeffrey I was building a boat. He told me to call you. I had never built a boat, because I hadn't. But if I wanted to build a boat, I would go to FedShip because reputationally they're the best boat builders. Then, it was, and that's the part that is so embarrassing is what a commie was. And I don't know, you believe your priest or your minister, your rabbi is what they are, you believe them. And it was mostly phone calls of people would say, or if you'd bump into somebody, Jeffrey's my advisor, or Jeffrey's talked to me about stuff, or Jeffrey's helped me with financial things. I can't remember specifically, but as I look back at it, it was part of the con. So I never met Meyerwald.
Understood.
Can I have 1 second? Because I think it will move this thing along a little faster.
Go on, telling stories, okay?
Just answer the question.
Mr. Wexner, you mentioned some of these phone calls from other individuals, boasting about their ties with Mr. Epstein. Do you have a recollection of when most of these would have occurred, these phone calls?
Pretty regularly, but I can't remember any of them.
Understood. In Majority Exhibit 3, your statement from this morning, your written statement from this morning, you mentioned on the second page, I believe it is, second paragraph, approximately middle of the paragraph, that you consulted Ace Greenberg and Jimmy Kane of Bear Stearns, Epstein's former employer. Did I read that correctly?
Correct.
What did you reach out to Mr. Greenberg and Mr. Kane about at Bear Stearns with regard to Mr. Epstein?
Checking references.
And as far as checking those references, did anything come up surprising to you about Mr. Epstein's background?
All positive.
And you also mentioned, well, let me take a step back. Bear Stearns has mentioned and previously reported that Mr. Epstein didn't have a degree or some of the proper qualifications for his job there. Did you have any reason to doubt the qualifications of Mr. Epstein when it related to being your financial advisor?
I don't recall that I ever questioned that. That is, he had a degree. I don't remember asking the question.
And so going off of that, other than making some phone calls to some individuals, did you ever formally check into Mr. Epstein's past?
Not beyond talking to the people I mentioned.
Understood. You also state, sorry to jump back and forth, the letter from Les Exhibit 5. That same paragraph, the third one in the middle there, the last sentence after the comma says, "I believed I could trust him." What about him, meaning Mr. Epstein, did he do that you thought you could trust him?
Well, I put him in a position of trust. He was a fiduciary that was to act in my interest, and I trusted that he could do that.
And your trust in him came before he actually handled any of your finances. Is that correct?
Correct. Because initially, he was like a friend of a friend who I perceived of as being skilled to review Harold's work.
Understood. Moving along a little bit, you may have touched on this with our minority colleagues. What was the rough portfolio that Mr. Epstein was handling for you?
Probably all my personal finance, houses, equipment, cars, just inventorying of stuff. The stuff, I don't know, all the financial things that someone would handle outside of their business. I had to have someone do because it was so much stuff.
And the financial advisor previous to Mr. Epstein, did that individual have power of attorney?
I don't specifically remember it, but I think he did.
And Mr. Epstein did have power of attorney over your financial matters?
Yeah, as did Dennis.
And why did this become your practice to give them power of attorney?
But so busy, traveling so much, the papers had to be signed, tax returns filed, people had to act on my behalf, so many things to sign. I needed to have somebody to do that.
Understood. How involved were you with Mr. Epstein's determinations over your finances? Did you have any involvement?
I'm confused what determinations mean.
More of like did you have any oversight of what Mr. Epstein was doing as your financial advisor?
Well, I'm sure he did at the time, yeah.
And did he bring every decision to you, some decisions to you? What did that look like?
I don't know. Was running a 20-division business, had community responsibility. So if you ask me what the president of the university brought to me or what the head of the foundation, I can't remember, but I was involved in everything except just a lot of stuff.
So is it a fair characterization of your testimony that Mr. Epstein had pretty wide latitude over your financial affairs?
Yes, that's fair, pretty wide.
And Mr. Epstein had access to your personal bank accounts, is that correct?
I don't recall.
Do you recall if he had access to any of your business bank accounts?
I'm sure he wouldn't.
Did Mr. Epstein ever ask you to lend him money for any reason?
No,
Did Mr. Epstein ever make any attempt to blackmail you for any reason?
no.
Did Mr. Epstein's control over your personal finances extend to any decisions that affected the rest of your family members?
It's just like, I want to say no, but I know that he was involved with the Children's Trust because I learned that today. Or what he did that I didn't know that would have been personal. I don't know what I don't know. But to my knowledge, he wouldn't have, in a civilian way, been involved.
And just to clarify to your testimony earlier about setting up trust for your children, was Mr. Epstein who helped set up the trust for your children?
I don't recall.
Did Mr. Epstein handle any other financial decisions in regard to your children?
Not that I'm aware of.
And I'm sorry, gonna switch gears a little bit here about your foundation. Why ultimately did Mr. Epstein become a trustee of your foundation?
Just convenience for signing documents, financial oversight, not for the not anything that would be the operation of the foundation, its purpose or review of people. It was just part of the complexity of my personal life.
And forgive my ignorance, you have usually board members of foundations and separately trustee members. Is that an accurate statement?
I wish I'm kind of ignorant too. I think we just had trustees.
Okay. And just to clarify, Mr. Epstein, did he receive any compensation for his role on the board of the Wexner Foundation?
Not to my knowledge.
Do you recall who Mr. Epstein replaced on the board, or how that board seat became available to him?
No.
Did your mother used to be a member of the foundation board?
I think so.
And was, due to circumstances, was she forced to step down from the board?
No.
She left her board position willingly?
Yes.
Was can you describe in a little bit more detail the circumstances for why your mother left the board of the Wexner Foundation?
I don't recall. Probably age.
Mr. Wexner, what sort of materials did you use to prepare for today's deposition?
I'm going to object to anything that counsel showed him. That's my work product. Anything he reviewed on his own, he's welcome to testify about.
A few documents and smart advice, like just answer questions. Yes or no.
Don't discuss what your client, what your attorney told you.
Yeah, I mean, nothing.
The question was,
Okay.
what
Say it again.
Um,
I want to be honest.
Excuse me. What documents or other materials did you use in preparation for today's deposition?
other than anything that your lawyer showed you?
Oh, nothing.
Are you aware of any litigation from your mother and the Wexner Foundation about her stepping down from the board?
No.
Was there any was there ever any pressure from Mr. Epstein to keep his position on the foundation's board?
No.
When you were in the, I'll call it the prime of your career as a CEO over your companies and corporation, would you say that you were heavily involved in the operations of the company and its related entities?
Heavily isn't a big enough word.
Could it be described that you like to micromanage what was going on through your companies and your corporation?
No. That isn't how I would describe my involvement, and I don't think the people that I worked with ever described me as a micromanager. But I was involved in so many things in the business. I love the business.
And did you ever face any criticism from your corporation or its related entities about allowing Mr. Epstein to handle finances in any way?
We never handled business finances, and no one in the business was critical of Jeffrey handling, his responsibilities to me personally.
No one ever brought any concerns to you at all?
Not that I recall.
I want to circle back again to some testimony you provided earlier. You testified that Mr. Epstein stole large amounts of money from you. Is that correct?
Yes, I did. That's a statement.
And I can't recall, did you know some partial amount of how much he stole?
Well, I didn't know he was stealing till after we discovered that he was a crook. And my wife's attorneys told me about.
Not what they told you,
Okay.
what you understood.
Oh, what I understood. I only understood what they told me. So I didn't discover it or count it or whatever one would do. That's the essence of your question.
Does $46 million sound like an approximation of the amount that you were alerted to after the fact?
I don't remember specifically initially. Abigail just told me this is
No,
really
not what Abigail told you,
Okay.
what you understand.
what I understood, that it was a large amount of money, and I didn't know the specific amount when it was first raised. And subsequently, I found out that it was at least $100 million.
Does that represent the grand total of the amount that Mr. Epstein stole from you?
I don't know. I don't think I'll ever know.
Do you, understanding that you found out he stole largely after the fact, were you able to piece together how he was able to accomplish this theft of you?
No.
You never figured out if he was, say, embezzling funds of some sort, or how he would be allegedly embezzling funds of some sort?
No.
And you testified earlier that you did not end up pressing any charges against Mr. Epstein for the theft of your funds. Could you briefly explain to me why, again, you decided not to?
Advice of advisors. Advice of advisors.
And to be clear, you never suspected any wrongdoing until you ultimately knew. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did are you aware of any advisors fearing any type of retribution from Mr. Epstein if you pursued litigation over the theft of your funds?
Say that again.
Did you have did your advisors have come to you with any fear of retribution from Mr. Epstein if you threatened litigation over the theft of your funds?
No. No, I don't remember that at all.
Are you aware of Ghislaine Maxwell having any role in the theft of your funds?
No.
I want to move now to the New York City townhome, 9 East 71st Street. I believe you first purchased that home before Mr. Epstein lived in it. Is that correct?
Correct.
Do you remember the time period in which you would have bought it? Best guess?
I don't know, 5 or 10 years before. It was a school. And then the remodeling took 3 years, and so I don't remember when it was. But I'm guessing it was, I don't know,
And
in the 80s sometime.
excuse me. And you said 5 to 10 years before. 5 to 10 years before what exactly?
Before I met Jeffrey.
Okay. Did you ever live in this house yourself?
I described I visited it, but I never lived in New York, really. I hate New York.
When are you first aware of Mr. Epstein moving into that mansion?
Well, he moved in sometime after I sold it to him, but I don't know when that was.
Would you be able to best guess when you sold the house to Mr. Epstein?
It would have been after 1993.
Okay. Are you aware that the deed to the property did not officially change hands to Mr. Epstein until the mid-2000s?
No?
Do you recall how Mr. Epstein purchased this house from you?
Paid, wrote a check, presume.
And the sale of this townhome was at the time that Mr. Epstein was managing your personal finances. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is it possible that Mr. Epstein sold the house to himself without your knowledge?
No, I would know, or I know, of course, that he bought it.
Did he approach you to buy that home?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately how much money you sold that townhome to Mr. Epstein for?
I think about $20 million.
Do you recall what the market value on that home was at the time?
I believe it was $20 million.
So you believe you got a fair deal for selling that home?
I believe so, yes.
It's been recently reported that your company, or I guess technically one of your subsidiaries, the 2 Inc., was transferred to Jeffrey Epstein's financial trust company in or around 2001. Do you have any knowledge of that happening?
I don't know what 2 Inc. is, and I have no knowledge what it did.
2 Inc. wasn't one of your clothing brand subsidiaries?
It was called Limited 2. That was a business that was part of the company. That's the only thing it means to me.
Did you have any of your subsidiaries of your company transferred to Mr. Epstein's personal business side control?
I don't think so.
We previously, we'll switch gears on you again. We previously mentioned accusations from Maria Farmer, and there were a subsequent set of allegations from another individual. Are you aware of who Virginia Giuffre is?
No. Familiar name, but I've heard it, but don't connect it to anything.
Did you ever have any sexual contact of any kind with Miss Giuffre?
No. Absolutely. How could I have contact with somebody I don't even know?
Miss Giuffre has accused you of performing sexual acts with her multiple times. You dispute these allegations?
She must be confused. No, it never happened.
Did Mr. Epstein ever bring up Miss Giuffre to you?
No, not a familiar name.
Ever mention Miss Giuffre giving you a massage?
No,
Did Miss Maxwell ever bring up Miss Giuffre to you?
no.
What about her former maiden name, Virginia Roberts? Does that ring a bell to you?
Never heard.
I want to return to some things we discussed in earlier in the day about travels with Mr. Epstein. I believe it was your testimony that Mr. Epstein was only on your corporate jet when you were present. Is that accurate?
Yes, to my knowledge.
And to your knowledge, I believe it was your testimony earlier that there would be surprise parties in which the jet was traveling to a location for one of those parties, but you could not recall Mr. Epstein being at the party. Is that correct?
Correct.
If Mr. Epstein was not attending the party, what were the purposes of his travel with you on your corporate jet?
I don't know.
Do you have a rough estimation of how many times you would have traveled with Mr. Epstein on your corporate jet?
I don't specifically recall any, but if it would have been once, twice, it would have been very few times. Because the aircraft was used primarily for business purpose. And when we used it personally, we paid for the airplane. So the notion of, of him using the plane or being on the plane for kind of social reasons or just bumming a ride kind of thing just never happened with anybody.
And I take that to mean you also never flew Mr. Epstein to locations where any of his various homes were located.
Absolutely not. No, as absolutely not. I never did that.
And just to clarify, I believe this might have been asked earlier. Did Mr. Epstein ever bring guests on these flights?
Not that I recall.
Your corporate plane at that time was a Boeing 727. Is that accurate?
We had two aircraft, 727, and we replaced it with a 737. And I don't remember. They looked alike except for their motors, so I can't remember. I know which came first and which came second, but I can't tell you in time.
And just to back up for a brief second, did you keep detailed flight logs for the personal travels on your corporate jet?
I believe we kept flight logs on our business aircraft and our personal airplane, always.
And the corporate jet, did you sell one of these airplanes to Mr. Epstein?
Oh, you mean the company?
The company, yes.
Yeah, the company sold an airplane to Mr. Epstein.
Do you recall when that sale was made?
No,
Can you guesstimate when that sale was made?
when they delivered the 737, I don't know when it was.
Do you, understanding your posture with the corporation has changed over the years, have you maintained any of those flight logs? Do you have them still as records today?
Never had them and don't have them.
Do you know why you do not have those flight logs?
I would assume CEOs don't keep flight logs of their company airplanes. a kind of shocking question.
You wouldn't have the corresponding flight logs of when you personally used the jet on your own your personal finances?
I think there are probably two reasons that I know we kept flight logs. And I think it's a government requirement that you have to have flight logs on an airplane. But two, so many people in the business, different CEOs would be using the planes, and every plane request would come to me because I wanted them to travel, and I wanted to make sure that they were then traveling with the people that they were traveling with. So I know I approved, or my admin approved on my behalf when I wasn't around, who was on the airplanes and the trip. Because, like, funnily, a CEO would request a trip, say they were going to go to Denver to visit stores, and there were 8 people that were going on the store visit. Then I'd approve it because that would be a good use. And then so it'd say, the CEO went by themselves. And it's like, no, it's not the purpose. So it was a very expensive and valuable asset to the business, and I wanted to know that it was being used appropriately. But I never reviewed the flight logs. You know, it's just that level of minutia was beyond me.
Understanding you might not have reviewed flight logs or, even necessarily had a reason for acquiring them, is that a record that would still be kept in the custody of either yourself for personal travel or for the business, if those records were ever needed for some sort of purpose?
I don't know what the business kept, but if they're there, I'm sure they're welcome to look at them.
And so would you be able to obtain those records, assuming they do exist?
From the company?
Yes. Or personally?
I don't think he has access to them at the company. You guys have subpoena authority.
Yeah.
Do you recall how much you sold the plane to Mr. Epstein for?
The company?
The company sold, sorry, my apologies.
Yeah, I do. It was approximately $6 million.
And what would have been if you recall, what would have been the market value for that aircraft at that time?
$6 million.
Do you believe you got a fair deal for that aircraft?
The company got a fair deal.
Yes, the company got a fair deal for that aircraft.
Yeah, I thought it was a very fair deal.
Similar question to Mr. Epstein's acquisition of the New York townhome. How did Mr. Epstein purchase this plane from you? From the company. I'll get there, I promise.
Okay.
I presume we wrote a check.
And you weren't privy to the any of the fine details of that deal? So as far as which entity Mr. Epstein would have used to buy that plane from the company?
No. The plane, the value of the plane was appraised by an airplane broker. That plane was for sale for a year, and the value was $6 million. That's all I know.
Understood. And excuse me if this is repetition, but did Miss Maxwell ever travel with you on the plane?
Not
On
that
the
I
company's
recall.
plane?
Not that I recall.
Did you ever fly on an aircraft owned or operated by Jeffrey Epstein?
Absolutely not.
Did Mr. Epstein ever invite you to fly on any of his aircrafts that he owned or operated?
I think he might have, but I can't specifically remember the circumstance. Some of this is really difficult to remember because Jeffrey was such a con. And as I look back at it, and that's it. He was much better at being a crook than I am as an honest person. And I think for the committee to understand this, the con part, I can't imagine a bigger crook or con the world has ever seen.
Do you recall what rationale you would have had for declining taking flights with Mr. Epstein on planes owned or operated by him?
I was busy, very busy. In busy years, I was in the air flying on business purpose in the air 300 to 400 hours a year. If you can imagine somebody traveling in the air 58-hour days and running a company, I ran it from the air as much as I did on the ground. So the last thing I wanted to do was take a trip with anybody.
Understood.
Are these all the same people? I don't recognize all of them. Oh, okay.
Just focus on them.
Okay.
One of the subsidiaries of your corporation was Victoria's Secret, is that correct?
Correct.
And what is Victoria's Secret known for primarily?
I said the biggest, best lingerie brand in the world.
And
Kind of like Nike is to running shoes.
understood. And what type of events would occur to market or advertise that company while you were in control of it?
It was print advertising, it was TV ads. A lot of the marketing was point of purchase, the design of the stores, and of course the fashion show was kind of a magical thing for the brand.
And I believe you touched on this a bit earlier. Were you aware of Mr. Epstein holding himself out to be affiliated with Victoria's Secret?
Only once.
When were you made aware of that?
I don't remember when.
Do you recall who brought that to your attention?
Somebody in the company, probably. I don't remember specifically who.
Do you recall how he was holding himself out to be part of Victoria's Secret?
He was a talent scout looking for models.
Did you ever have the sense that Mr. Epstein had a certain odd interest in Victoria's Secret?
No.
Would he discuss the models at Victoria's Secret with you?
No.
Would he ask you to attend Victoria's Secret fashion shows?
Would he ask me?
Correct.
No.
Did you ever personally invite him to any Victoria's Secret fashion shows?
No. I never invited him to any business event, let alone the fashion show.
Let me rephrase. Are you aware of how Mr. Epstein would have been able to attend Victoria's Secret's events if not invited by you?
I would presume he would have called somebody in the business and said, could I come? Could I get a ticket? I know that we were, for business reasons, very careful about the audience that was there, and about, I would guess, 2/3 of the audience were employees, store managers, people that had done heroic things inside the brand, because it was a big company event, and all the CEOs of all the companies in the company were invited. And so the people that were outside the company wasn't what I was concerned about. I was more concerned about internally that people came, or that should come, or were at least invited, because if not, it would have been like the right thing to do.
Zach?
My answer is, I really don't know.
Are you aware of Jeffrey Epstein having any other contacts within Victoria's Secret specifically? Executives or anyone of that such?
I'm sure he knew people, or would reach out to people in the business, but I don't know.
Did you ever make executives at Victoria's Secret aware that you would prevent Mr. Epstein from coming to any fashion shows or around any models?
Not that I recall.
Are you aware of Mr. Epstein bringing any women to Victoria's Secret to potentially model for Victoria's Secret?
No.
Do you know who Jean-Luc Brunel is?
Never heard of him.
Did you ever take a recommendation from Mr. Epstein or Miss Maxwell about hiring young women or girls for any of your companies or subsidiaries thereof?
No.
Did Mr. Epstein ever suggest to you that he could find models on your behalf for Victoria's Secret?
No.
Did you ever consider cutting ties with Mr. Epstein, professionally or personally, after he was caught lying that he was a scout for Victoria's Secret?
I guess the answer would be, if I thought he was, I would have fired him.
I am now going to enter as Majority Exhibit 6, a letter from a birthday book compiled for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday in January of 2003. I will give you a second to familiarize yourself with the letter.
What's exhibit number?
6. Mr. Wexner, is this letter familiar to you?
I have seen it before, yes.
Where have you seen it before?
Part of the, I think, the documents preparation for today's meeting.
Did you yourself write this letter to Mr. Epstein?
Sadly, I did.
Did Miss Maxwell approach you to write this letter for Mr. Epstein's birthday?
I think the request was to write a card or a note or something for a birthday book.
And did that come from Miss Maxwell?
I don't remember.
Mr. Wexner, would you please read the main body of the birthday note for the record, please?
I wanted to get you what you want, so here it is. Happy birthday, your friend Leslie.
And what was your understanding of what Mr. Epstein would want?
He was a bachelor, so I drew a pair of boobs
You've
as a kind of a joke and offhandedly, I'd say.
understand.
I hope you do.
You said a few times throughout this deposition today that you did not consider Mr. Epstein a friend of yours. However, you signed this letter, and I quote, "Your friend Leslie." Why would you sign "your friend Leslie" to someone you did not consider to be a friend of yours?
I don't know. I normally say Les, not Leslie, either when I write notes, and, you know, I guess I can't explain why I would say your friend, because we weren't friends.
Did you ever speak to Miss Maxwell directly about this particular letter?
No,
Did you ever speak to Mr. Epstein directly about this particular letter?
no,
Was this letter something that you would commonly send, for lack of a better term, business associates?
no, of course not. I was trying to be funny.
I'm going to mark as Majority Exhibit 7, a photo. I'll give you a second to review.
Give one more.
One more. Are you in this photo?
Yes,
And Mr. Epstein is also in this photo?
yes,
And a third individual is redacted in this photo?
yes.
Do you have any way of knowing who the redacted individual in this photo is?
I know who the redacted person is in this photo.
Who is that redacted person?
My wife.
Understood. Do you
The
recall?
man in the back is Peter Lurson, and the picture was taken in Bremen when the boat was launched. And we got a bunch of pictures of the boat launching.
Do you recall what year that was?
We had 2 children, probably 3 or 4 years after we were married.
And did you invite Mr. Epstein to this boat launch party or event?
Not that I recall.
Can you recall who would have invited Mr. Epstein to this event?
No.
It is 2:08, and the majority will end this hour now and go off the record.
We can go back on the record. Welcome back. Got just a couple of follow-ups about some things you've already touched on. The New York City house. Do you remember when Epstein first had some kind of ownership interest in the home? I think you may have said after 1993.
Yeah, when I sold it to him, but I don't remember the date.
The sale is reported as 1998. As far as you know, would that be the first time that Mr. Epstein had any kind of ownership of the home?
Do you know? I don't know. I was thinking, you could tell me any date. I know it was after we were married. And whether it was a year or two, I don't remember. But
Was that 1993?
We got married in 93, yes.
Do you recall at all Mr. Epstein talking about why he wanted the home?
No?
With respect to the home, I think you were asked whether you felt like the sale price was a fair deal for you. And I think your answer was yes. Is that right?
Yeah, yes, that's right.
And with respect to the plane, I think you were asked whether you felt like the company got a fair deal at $6 million. And I think you said yes. Is that right?
Yes, that was because that was the asking price.
I think your counsels represented to DOJ in 2019 that Mr. Epstein sold himself both those assets at deeply discounted prices, and that was part of his theft from you.
I never heard that before.
Do you have any sense of why that discrepancy would exist?
Not a clue.
In terms of Mr. Epstein's repayment to you, I think your counsels also represented that he repaid you about $100 million in 2008. Would you have any knowledge of exactly how much he repaid you or how?
No.
There were a few other physical assets I just wanted to quickly touch on.
Sure.
There was a second home in New York City at 11 East 71st Street, so it's right next to the home that we've been discussing. And it sounds like you bought the home in 1988. Epstein bought the home from you in 1992. Do you have any recollection of that home? Take your time.
Are you saying two homes in New York that were next to each other?
Yeah, right next to it. The address for this one would have been 11 East 71st Street.
No recollection of that happening.
There was and still is a condo building at 301 East 66th Street in New York. It's been reported that Epstein lodged many of his victims at that building. The reporting has also been that you once owned that building and that you sold it to Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, in the early 90s. Do you have any recollection of that?
The building or the condo?
The building.
No.
No recollection. Okay. With respect to, I think, what we understand to be two homes in New Albany that Mr. Epstein owned at one point or another. So there was first a home on the 7500 block of King George Drive that Epstein received from you in 1990. Do you have any recollection of that home?
I know he bought a house from Jack Kessler, the one we'd mentioned before. That's the only one I know about.
Got it. This, I think, is a separate home and was earlier in time.
No.
Okay.
No recollection.
That second home, I think you mentioned that Mr. Epstein bought it from Mr. Kessler. I think the documents show that it was a company that Epstein bought the home from, and I'll represent to you that it was you who signed the deed to Epstein. Would you have any knowledge about why that might have been the case?
I understand the question. I signed the deed to sell the house to sell Jack Kessler's house to Jeffrey.
Yeah, and it was in your capacity representing an entity of some kind that seems to have been associated with yourself and Mr. Kessler.
Just shocking.
Okay.
Does it ever occur to you that stuff like that could be just forgeries?
I think in this case,
He asked the
not
question.
likely.
No, I mean, it's like
It's okay.
me signing a deed to somebody else's house. It's just,
It's okay.
okay, I'm sorry.
And the entity for that sale was JW and CPK and Company. Does that ring any bells for you?
No.
What is the history of that home, if you recall? In other words, was it originally built for Mr. Kessler to live in? Was it his primary residence?
Yeah,
And what do you recall as the purpose of the sale to Mr. Epstein? Why would Jeffrey Epstein, why did he buy that home, if you recall?
first of all, I didn't recall that he bought it. I don't remember that. I know Jack had financial problems, and he came to me and said, I've got problems, I gotta sell my house. That's all I recall about it. I don't think I was ever in the house.
Do you recall Epstein purchasing it at the time? Were you aware of that?
No, I wasn't.
I'd like to ask a little bit about your personal relationship with Mr. Epstein. Some of the reporting has described you as close. I think that's been mentioned earlier today. I would just like to ask about a few examples that have been reported and just understand your knowledge of that.
Sure.
The New York Times, for example, has reported that sometime in the late 80s, Mr. Epstein managed the design and construction of your yacht, the Limitless. Do you have any recollection of that being the case?
Furthest thing from the truth.
Not true.
I worked on the design for 10 years, me. And it took 3 years to build the yacht, and the only person that was there beside me watching the construction was Abigail. Period.
And a gentleman who represented himself to the New York Times as your former captain, Craig Tafoya,
Yeah.
seemed to be of the understanding that Mr. Epstein had a role in designing the yacht. Mr. Tafoya, from your point of view, Mr. Tafoya is simply mistaken.
Absolutely mistaken. If you wanted to, I could draw it in detail for you right now.
The Wall Street Journal has reported that Mr. Epstein would sometimes do personal tasks for you, such as helping your wife Abigail find a nanny or showing up at a restaurant with a gift for a mutual friend. Do you have any knowledge or recollection of those types of activities?
Never happened.
No recollection, or you believe that those things did not happen?
I have no recollection and believe they never happened.
Vanity Fair has reported that Mr. Epstein once broke up with a woman for you here in Columbus by going to her house. This, of course, was before you met your wife. Do you have any knowledge or recollection of that?
No. Did I break up with a woman? Yes.
Did Mr. Epstein perform the act directly or indirectly?
No.
I'd like to introduce as Minority Exhibit G an email from 2006. I'll give you a moment to look at it. I'll only be asking about a very short part, but feel free to scan it. What it looks like is an email from Mr. Epstein to somebody with a limited brands address, D. Larson. I don't know if you would have an idea of who that probably is.
My admin, Don Larson.
Great.
Can we have a chance to just read the email?
Sure, of course.
Thanks.
I forgot I knew Neil Rubenstein.
And at a certain point, I'll just direct your attention to a sentence.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's just, he's not on this, so.
Yeah. So,
Just trying to get it.
at the very end of this email, Mr. Wexner, I would say close to the very end, there's a sentence that starts with, "I believe that this information." And if you see that,
No,
I'm
where's
sure
that?
your counsel can guide you to it. And I'll read that out loud. This is a long email. It seems to relate to business topics and people. But Epstein signs off by saying, "I believe that this information belongs to you, and under gang stuff rules, I cannot simply be the repository of people's hushed calls and not share with you." And the subject of the email is, "For Les's eyes only, please do not circulate." So the phrase gang stuff rules, is that a familiar phrase to you in this context?
Jeffrey was like a Brooklyn guy. And he, in hindsight, he didn't use words like have a confidential discussion or my opinion or this is secret or private or confidential, personal, things that lawyers or accountants might use in normal language. He would say, this is gang stuff.
Got it. So
But that was just how he talked.
it was a phrase that Mr. Epstein would use to mean confidential conversations.
To me, yes.
Okay. And this,
I don't think I never used the other words, which in hindsight, I didn't. But my wife would never say, "It's between us, dear." You know, we just, they're words or phrases that you associate with some people. And to me, it was just kind of funny that this Brooklyn guy would talk about gang stuff and, gang stuff might be what he ate for dinner or something.
would he use that phrase pretty commonly, whether it's in a verbal conversation or a written email?
I don't specifically remember, but I don't think he ever said confidential or private. It was like his language.
Thank you. With respect to, we can move on from that email. With respect to the power of attorney that you gave Mr. Epstein 1991, I know it was discussed earlier. Could you just flesh out for us a little bit the theory of an unfettered power of attorney? In other words, it wasn't conditional or restricted to a particular account or a particular type of asset. It covered, as we understand it, all of your assets, which is an enormous, I think, step of trust. What is your recollection of why you made that choice?
Funnily enough, I think power of attorney is that. So the notion of having a limited power of attorney was kind of and that's just not how I would think about it. So Harold had a power of attorney, Jeffrey had a power of attorney, Dennis Hirsch had a power of attorney, because they needed it to do their work.
And that's, did the advisor, as you recall, it sounds like the previous advisor before Mr. Epstein and the subsequent advisor after Mr. Epstein both had the same scope of power of attorney?
I don't know specifically, but I would think they were. I don't recall what the words say, but I think power of attorney is that.
We've seen reporting, I think in the New York Times, that you accompanied Mr. Epstein to visit the White House in 1993, a few months after President Clinton took office. Do you have any recollection of that?
Absolutely didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
Well, I'd been at the White House, but the only time I was at the White House when Clinton was president, he invited a group of like 20 CEOs from around the country to get feedback on the economy. And that was said. And I was there like the president of one of the lumber companies, the chairman of J.P. Morgan, Sears, companies like that. I was kind of the smallest fish in that bowl, but it was that purpose.
And Mr. Epstein was not present.
Of course not.
So, as far as you know, you did not visit the White House under any administration with Mr. Epstein.
I never visited the White House under any administration, under any circumstance with Mr. Epstein. That I'm positive of.
The New York Times has also reported that at your 59th birthday party, Mr. Epstein acted as sort of a master of ceremonies. He would give toasts and introduce guests and arrange for some people such as Alan Dershowitz and Shimon Peres to attend. Do you recall the party that I'm describing?
Well, Shimon was at a couple of birthday parties. I don't remember Jeffrey being there. If the party was in Columbus, I probably could remember 4 or 5 of the people that were there, and it was a surprise too.
Do you recall, I suppose at any birthday party, but that one in particular, Mr. Epstein playing that sort of a role as a master of ceremonies of sorts?
No. I'm thinking, even at the party that I was thinking about, the Shimon Peres, if you ask me who was there, he wouldn't have been on the list. It's not who I remember. It was a different kind of group of friends that Abigail picked to come to the party.
But to the original question, do you recall Mr. Epstein ever acting as a master of ceremonies at a birthday party for you?
No, absolutely not. Never.
You gonna keep quoting the New York Times?
It's a good thing I don't read newspapers very often. That's crazy.
I'd like to introduce as Minority Exhibit H, I'll give you a moment to look this over. It's just one page.
Yeah, 3 copies.
Stanley or Stanley.
So this is a file that was part of the recent DOJ release, and it's some kind of draft or fully composed email from Mr. Epstein. It appears to be intended for you. We do not have knowledge of whether you ever received it. Did you ever receive this
No.
email? Sorry, just for the record. Did you ever receive this email?
I never received this email. Or letter or whatever it was.
Understanding that you have not received it and therefore have not previously seen it, is that correct?
Other than anything that council may have shown him.
I would like to touch on a few discrete parts of it. Mr. Epstein, at one point early in the email, says that, quote, "I owe a great debt to you as frankly you owe to me." Would you have any sense of why he might feel that way in general, or did he ever express that type of a sentiment to you?
No. When I saw this, like, I know what you do or people do, they write letters to the file. I've never written one, like a memo to myself. And so I read this and I thought, this is like cover your ass kind of thing. And it just doesn't even sound the way he speaks. And just nonsense in it.
He also said, quote, "As I'm sure you recall, you didn't sit with your mother or sister or Sharon when a conflict arose, as I did it for you. You didn't sit with Jack Kessler, Stanley, or Stanley's son. I did it for you." Do you have any sense of what Mr. Epstein might be referring to there?
Well, I don't know what he's referring to about my mother or my sister. I know who Sharon was. Stanley, I presume, was our previous attorney, Stanley Schwartz, and his son worked in our business and, worked in it until he retired. So that I don't know what the hell he was talking about.
Did you ever ask Mr. Epstein to mediate a dispute or otherwise insert himself into a dispute with the individuals he mentioned here, your mother or sister or Sharon, for example?
No.
Mr. Epstein also says that, quote, "Abigail and I sat, she asked many questions, she made many unfair, aggressive, and false accusations, none of which could have been fully answered without violating a confidence with you." Firstly, do you have an understanding of what he's referring to in terms of Abigail and he having a conversation?
My wife and I have no secret, so the fact that he's having a secret, it's just nonsense.
He goes on to say that you and I had gang stuff for over 15 years, a great deal of it that she was unaware of. I had no intention of divulging any confidence of ours, no matter what accusations she made. So Mr. Epstein at least seems to be asserting that there was something confidential between you and he that your wife was not aware of. Do you have any sense of what that might be?
No.
I'm going to object to the whole thing. This is why we have the hearsay rule, but keep going.
Mr. Epstein goes on to say that, quote, "I always told you I would never under any circumstances give it up or put you in harm's way, no matter who, what, or when." Do you have any sense of what he might be referring to there? And I'll need a verbal audible.
No, absolutely not. I mean, this is cover your ass psychobabble as far as I'm concerned.
I'd like to do one more exhibit on your personal relationship with Mr. Epstein. So this will be Minority Exhibit I. I'll just tell you briefly what this is.
Oh, good.
It's long and you're not going to have to read it. It's a PowerPoint presentation that the FBI put together, it looks like within the last year, summarizing their investigations into Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. It's just their summary of the steps they took during their investigation and who was charged with what. That's what the document is. There is one page of the document that mentions you, and I'll direct you to that. It is all the way toward the back.
I've never seen an FBI document. I'm thinking, should they be giving this shit to me?
So there's one page towards the back that ends in 956. I think it's the third from the last page of the presentation.
There's an earlier reference on 949.
Oh, right, confirming the proper. Apologies, there is. Agreed.
Which page do you want me to look at?
Ending in 956, the only substantive mention of you.
Yes.
You can see this is a slide that's titled Prominent Names, and it's naming some prominent individuals who have some connection or link to Mr. Epstein. Your name appears in the middle column, all the way down at
Yes.
the bottom. And under Les Wexner, it just has one entry, there's a name that's redacted, and its redacted name stated, Epstein earned his money from having homosexual sex with Wexner. I know you were asked this question earlier, but in the context of this FBI report, is it correct that you did not have any sexual or romantic relationship with Mr. Epstein?
Absolutely not, or any man ever. I'm very straight, super straight.
Thank you.
That's wacky. Do we get to keep that? No, I just never read an FBI report.
Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Wexner, for your testimony here today. Just wanted to start with a question around U.S. Senator John Husted, and it's been reported that you gave him something like $117,000 in donations. Is that correct?
I think you mean John Husted?
I'm John Husted, yeah.
I don't know how much money I gave him.
Would that sound about right? It's a substantial sum.
Well, I'm thinking, I met John when he was a state representative. I'm sure I helped him. I helped him politically. He ran for lieutenant governor. I probably contributed to senatorial campaigns. So is it possible over time I would have given him that much money? It is.
Well, let me maybe be
But
more
I don't
accurate. I think
remember
it was recently reported that you gave him $117,000 sometime shortly before he voted no on releasing the Epstein files. Would that sound familiar?
No.
No? Did you or any of your representatives ever lobby Senator Husted or anybody else in the federal government to prevent the release of materials related to the Jeffrey Epstein files?
Absolutely not.
Did you or your representatives ever request that the Department of Justice redact your name in any files?
No. Absolutely not.
Wanted to move on. Now, I remember the document we was referenced a little earlier mentioning former Prime Minister Ehud Barak. Did you ever have a relationship with the former Prime Minister?
Can you define relationship?
Sure. Any relationship? Do you know Prime Minister Barak? How, if so, could you elaborate on how familiar you were with him?
Well, I was only with him a couple or three times in my life. I happened to be in Israel when he was elected, but before he was sworn in as prime minister. We had a brief meeting in his political office. It wasn't the government office. May have met him in Israel when he was prime minister, but I don't recall. I know that I had dinner with him and I think his wife and daughter and Abigail in New York after he was out of office, I think. I don't think he was prime minister.
Did you ever communicate with the Prime Minister outside of personal meetings, phone calls, emails?
He came here once, I think, for Jewish community stuff, and we went to a football game. That's all I remember.
Did you ever communicate by email or phone call or other correspondence?
No, I don't think I ever had his address or phone number or email address or text number or whatever.
Are you aware of the Wexner Foundation or any other trusts or foundations or organizations affiliated with you ever donating money to the former Prime Minister?
No.
Would it surprise you if I told you that an FBI report stated a report that the Wexner Foundation transferred at least $2.3 million in U.S. dollars to former Prime Minister Ehud Barak?
Shocked.
Shocked. Okay. I want to move to a different topic here. Are you familiar with a gentleman named Richard Adrian?
Who?
Richard Adrian.
No.
Do you remember anybody being a bodyguard from you by that name?
No.
No? 1991 to 1992?
No.
How many bodyguards have you had over the course of your career?
I don't know.
Hundreds? Dozens?
No, not hundreds, but I don't know.
Dozens. Okay. Now, Mr.
50 or
Adrian
60.
reported that he had accompanied you between 1991 and 1992 when he was your bodyguard to Epstein's Palm Beach home. Does that sound familiar at all?
Objection, that's not what it says.
That he accompanied Mr. Epstein, Mr. Wexner to Epstein's property?
No, it doesn't say that. Are you looking at the,
ESPA 12-1249191?
yeah, it should.
I don't have it in front of me, but,
No, it says that he did accompany him, and then it says the bodyguard was at the Epstein residence. It doesn't say the bodyguard was at the Epstein residence with Mr. Wexner.
I'm sorry, did you ever accompany the bodyguard to Epstein's Palm Beach home?
Everywhere I went, I
Okay,
had
so, yeah.
security.
And so would it surprise you then, I believe that this is correct, that the bodyguard said that he noticed a number of young girls there, noticeably young. You've never seen young girls at the Epstein property?
I was only there once for an hour, and I was there with my wife and another couple.
Okay. I have one last question, and then I'll kick it back. You mentioned a couple of times that you received $20 million for the mansion on 71st Street in Manhattan. How was that money transferred to you?
I don't know.
You don't know? Like, nobody, how do you know it was ever paid to you?
Well, I guess Abigail would have known.
Abigail wouldn't know?
Whether it was a check, whether it was a money order, whether it was, a bag of money. I have no
So
idea.
$20 million, and you just like take someone say so for it?
No, $20 million is a lot of money, and airplanes cost a lot of money too, and I don't know exactly how we pay for them, or if we sold an airplane, exactly how we get paid, but we've bought and sold personally a few airplanes, and you could ask me the same question. I don't know.
And so I think we have a number of media references, New York Times, I think the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, all noting that no cash was transferred at the time of a essential transaction. No exchange of money was noted at the time. So do you have any records, like after the fact, after you learned that Jeffrey Epstein, as you put it, stole from you, did you ever look into how that money was transferred to you?
No.
No? Didn't strike your interest, even though you knew that Jeffrey Epstein was stealing from you?
Once I knew he was stealing from me, it was, again, my wife is a very competent business attorney. We have good accountants. I believe good counsel, and that's not what I do. And I don't go back and, if I fired somebody in the business, I didn't follow them to see if they behaved badly again. They were done. That's just
Let me then follow up and ask, did your wife ever mention to you how the money was transferred?
No.
Or that it was transferred?
Objection as to spousal privilege, but he's already answered.
All right, thank you very much then.
Mr. Wexner, Steve Lynch, Massachusetts. How long did you know Mr. Epstein? When did you first meet him?
I think they asked me that question earlier before you joined this group. I think it was like 5 years before I got married, about early 80s, I would guess.
Early 80s?
I think so. I don't remember precisely.
And in all the time that you knew him, and he worked for you, he was your power of attorney, handled a lot of really important things in your life. Do you remember him ever having a romantic interest or women in your presence as his guests or associates?
I mentioned earlier, too, the first one was Dr. Ava Anderson. I met her, and Jeffrey said
When
they,
was that, sir? I'm sorry.
when I first met her, whenever that was,
So 80s?
early 80s.
90s, yeah.
And my understanding, because meeting her, is that Ava was a very attractive woman. I think she was in med school, so and so she was a serious person, and
Yeah.
she is a serious person. She's an oncologist. She's married. She has children.
I get you.
And then I don't know how many years later he broke up with Ava, and Glenn came into his life probably about the time I got engaged, and
When was that, sir?
I got engaged I got engaged on September 8th, 1992, because
Okay.
I got engaged on my birthday.
And so at that point, Mr. Epstein's relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell was romantic at the time.
was about then that I met her, and they said they were going to get married. And it was, I was getting married, Jeffrey was getting married, so it seemed like, everybody was going to be in Happy Valley in terms of their life. And both women, they were grown-up women. Glenn is exactly the same age as Abigail, and very smart. She said she was like an honors graduate of Cambridge or Oxford, and quite charming, and English accent, and an attractive woman. So I was very happy for them.
Do you ever remember spending time with Epstein and any of his other romantic interests or girlfriends, especially younger women, in your presence?
No, there were no others that I was present or mentioned.
Ever in his presence with women who may have been of teenage or minors?
I thought about that. What did I miss about this guy? And I don't think I was ever with him, or he was ever with anyone. It's vague in my memory that I would say was under the age of 28, 30. I mean, he was with adult women, or women that they looked adult. They said they were a lawyer and accountant or something.
I know this name has come up earlier in the deposition, Virginia Giuffre. Giuffre, I'm sorry. Do you recall ever meeting her in Jeffrey's presence?
Absolutely never. I don't.
Or Virginia Roberts, I think her maiden name was?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
How about Miss Farmer? I thought Miss Farmer might have made allegations about something that happened here on your property.
We've actually covered it. It wasn't his property, it's an adjacent property.
An adjacent property. Thank you for the clarification. Or certainly
No.
on the next door.
No, never.
Was that Mr.
Kessler,
Whose property is next door? I'm sorry.
my friend was business partner in New Albany, Jack Kessler.
So no women who seemed unusually young then?
Absolutely.
Okay. We also understand from your counsel's proffer that you interacted with a number of other prominent people who knew and had dealings with Epstein, including Prince Andrew, various professors at Harvard, perhaps a sultan of some sort in Dubai, perhaps Howard Lutnick. With respect to Prince Andrew, who has also been accused of sexual misconduct in connection with at least one woman trafficked by Mr. Epstein, did you ever see or become aware of this interaction between Prince Andrew and one of these young women?
I never met Prince Andrew, so I wasn't aware of anything other than
No chatter about that in terms of you're dealing with either introduced by Mr. Epstein or by Ghislaine Maxwell. That whole interaction between those two and Prince Andrew. You have any knowledge of that?
I had no conversations, interactions with Prince Andrew about women or anything. I had one brief, like 2-sentence phone conversation. He called me here in Columbus.
And what was that for?
To me, it's a funny story. I'm getting ready to go to work. I think I was in the garage, and my wife or somebody came out and said, "You have a phone call." Maybe it wasn't my wife, but it was somebody. And they said, "It's a guy that says he's the Duke of York." And I thought, the Duke of York, what the hell is that? So I went in the kitchen, hello, and this is Andrew. I don't think he said, "This is Andrew, Duke of York. This is Andrew Windsor," or whatever he called himself. And I said, hello. And he said, I helped my mother buy her airplane. And I know that you buy and sell airplanes, so if I could be of service with you in airplane transactions, I could help. And I said, no, thank you. We're covered. And have a nice day. And hung up and just kind of laughed my ass off that the Duke of York called me about.
So he cold called you to sell you an airplane or to help you buy an airplane?
It was airplane advice because he'd helped his mother.
Plane that you eventually sold to Mr. Epstein?
Oh, no. It was just, had nothing to do with anything that was going on. It was like, I know that you buy and sell airplanes in your business. I know you have buy an airplane personally, and I know you buy and sell airplanes. And when you do, if you need an advisor, I'm available. And it's like, no, thank you, I'm covered.
So he offered to advise you on purchasing airplanes?
Pardon? Did he?
He offered to advise you? I'm just trying to understand why the Prince of York would be calling you about buying.
Yeah, me too. It was like out of the blue. I mean, you could have called me up that day and said you were the Prince of York and you want to advise me on my lunch or something. I was like, what the hell is this?
You would have recognized the difference in accents.
Yeah, maybe. And with respect to those other figures who I mentioned, did you ever see or become aware of any prominent academic figures or this so-called Sultan of Dubai or Howard Lutnick or any other notable person being introduced to young women by either Epstein or Maxwell?
Well, I've never met Howard Lutnick. I just didn't know his name until he became popular or, in the news.
Yeah, his name's extensively in the
Yeah,
files,
so
like your own.
But anyway, I just never heard his name, didn't know him. Some of the people that were on that list, I knew their names, and some of them introduced themselves to me.
But that wasn't his
I
question.
understand. Wasn't it?
No.
Oh, because you asked me, I thought you asked if I knew the same.
Any other of those prominent individuals, were you aware that either Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell was facilitating introductions or contact between those
absolutely not.
individuals and young women?
No, absolutely not.
And you yourself, sir, never had physical contact with any of these young survivors or victims, as they are alternatively called, these young women?
Never, ever.
All right, I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Just two more, and then we'll give you a break. First, with respect to the birthday note that we looked at earlier for Mr. Epstein's birthday, just making sure we have your testimony. It's that you signed the note, your friend, but Mr. Epstein was not ever actually your friend from your point of view. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you do not have any understanding of why you would sign that card, your friend?
I think if I was sending a birthday note to somebody, I'd say your friend or something. I wouldn't just sign my name. It would be like I don't know. It's not a salutation, is it? It's the end of a letter or something. Yours truly, best, something like that.
Do you recall ever drawing a pair of women's breasts on any correspondence with any other business associate of yours?
No?
We can go off the record.
We will go on the record. It's 3:12 p.m. Mr. Wexner, I am going to ask you to bear with me for a second. I have a list of names. I will ask you one question that applies to the entirety of the list, and you will just answer yes or no. And if you answer yes to one of the names, we will come back to further explore that name. Does that make sense?
I think so. Let's try it, see how it works.
So the question is, Have you ever had a conversation with any of the following people about Jeffrey Epstein, his crimes, his criminal investigations, or in regard to sexual activity of any kind?
Okay, so not have you ever had a conversation with them, but have you had a conversation with them about those topics? Do you want to repeat it so that we are solid here?
Sure. Have you ever had a conversation with any of the following people about Jeffrey Epstein, his crimes, his criminal investigations, or in regard to sexual activity of any kind? The first name is Ghislaine Maxwell.
No,
Richard Kahn.
no,
Darren Endyke.
no,
Sarah Kellen.
no,
Leslie Groff.
no,
Nadia Marcinkova.
no,
Kathy Rumler.
no,
Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly Prince Andrew.
no,
Peter Mandelson, former UK ambassador to the United States.
No.
Stephen Hoffenberg.
no,
John-Luc Brunel.
no,
Jess Staley.
no,
Paul Morris.
no,
Stephen Cutler.
no,
Mary Casey.
no,
Justin Nelson.
no,
Leon Black.
no,
Glenn Dubin.
no,
Eva Anderson Dubin.
kind of put those as question marks because I think I'll tell you the answer later because I want to be completely,
Understood.
know,
Bill Gates.
no,
Any person elected or appointed to any federal office.
no,
Any foreign government officials.
no,
So you said you wanted to clarify on Glenn Dubin and Eva Anderson Dubin. Do you have clarification on that?
yeah. I know both of them. I met Ava when I thought she and Jeffrey were engaged and going to get married. And I met Glenn at Harvard, I don't know, 10 or maybe 20 years ago. He was acquainted with someone there. And I was at David, it might have been David Gergen's funeral, something like that. And I saw them and I hadn't seen them in, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. And they said hello and said something, isn't this a shame? What happened to Jeffrey? And I said, yeah, it's a shame, something like that. It was that vague. But most of the names that you mentioned, I've never heard before. I don't know those people.
With Glenn Dubin, you said it was 10 to 20 years ago at Harvard. When you mentioned Eva Anderson Dubin, you said you thought she was engaged to Jeffrey Epstein. Do you know approximately when that was?
About the time I got engaged to Abigail, so at about 92.
Okay.
But I haven't seen either of them until David Gergen's funeral for maybe a decade. I hadn't talked to them, never socialized with them.
Can we just clarify something? Because I think you previously testified that when you met Miss Maxwell, it was around the time of your engagement to Abigail.
Right. Didn't I just say that?
No, you were talking about Ava Anderson.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, then I met Ava about the time I got, how could that be? I must have met Ava when I met Jeffrey, and then met Glenn when I got engaged. That's
So Ava would have been
10 years before.
early to mid 80s.
Yeah, whatever it was. And I think I was only with her once. With them once.
So you never, just to clarify, one more name on here. You never spoke with Ghislaine Maxwell about Mr. Epstein or his criminal investigations of any kind?
Never.
It had come out a few years ago now that Ohio State University did a review of their donations, and they identified a little over $300,000 in donations directly from Mr. Epstein and one of his foundations. Ohio State also reported a gift of approximately $2.5 million from the COUQ Foundation, which is another entity of Mr. Epstein's. Did you help facilitate any donations from Jeffrey Epstein to Ohio State University?
Never.
Did you personally ask Mr. Epstein to donate to Ohio State University?
Never.
Did you ever speak to any Ohio State University Board of Trustees members regarding Mr. Epstein or his donations to the university?
Never.
We discussed earlier in this deposition around the time frame of 2019 if you had any involvement with law enforcement as they investigated Mr. Epstein for his crimes he was ultimately charged with in New York. Just to clarify, did you speak to any law enforcement agency of any kind regarding Jeffrey Epstein's investigation in New York in 2019?
Never. Didn't. No, I don't remember ever talking to any law enforcement agency.
Did you ever provide any documentation to any law enforcement agency of any kind regarding Jeffrey Epstein and his investigation in New York in 2019?
Not to my knowledge.
And just to be clear, you never formally interviewed with anyone from the FBI or Department of Justice about Jeffrey Epstein or his criminal investigation in 2019?
Never.
Did Mr. Epstein ever contact you or attempt to contact you after his arrest in 2019?
I don't think so. He was dead.
Well, before he died?
No, I mean dead with me.
Understood. Did anyone affiliated with Mr. Epstein ever reach out to you in 2019 regarding his investigation in New York?
Never. No.
How did you first learn of Jeffrey Epstein's death in the MCC in New York City?
Probably watching CNN.
No one directly contacted you about his death?
No one ever contacted me about Jeffrey's death.
Did you ever have any reason to believe that Mr. Epstein's life was in any sort of danger?
No.
You mentioned in what is Majority Exhibit 3, your statement from this morning. On page 3, in the second to last paragraph, last sentence, while others visited Epstein in jail and associated with him after his release, I did not. Are you aware of who did, in fact, visit Mr. Epstein in jail during that time?
Directly, David Gergen told me he did, after he did.
And can you remind us who David Gergen is?
David Gergen was professor of practice at the Kennedy School. He was advisor to 4 presidents of the United States, TV personality.
And did he tell
and
you?
my friend.
Sorry to cut you off. Did Mr. Gergen tell you anything about his visit to Mr. Epstein while he was incarcerated?
No, he just told me that he and his wife visited Jeffrey, and he asked me if I did, and I said no, I wouldn't visit that son of a bitch. And asked him why he did.
Did Mr. Gergen inform you as to why he went to visit Mr. Epstein while he was incarcerated?
Yeah, surprisingly, he said, like, sometimes people that you're acquainted with get into trouble, and you should be kind or nice to them. Something that vague, which seemed completely out of character for Gergen.
Did you, what was your response to Mr. Gergen when he posed that to you?
I think I said, I'm surprised at you, David.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. You mentioned that David Gergen was a friend of yours. How do you characterize that Mr. Gergen was a friend? What made him a friend to you?
We probably met when he went to the Kennedy School from his job at the White House. And so he was like a professor of practice in the Center of Public Leadership. And then he became the director of the Center of Public Leadership. And that was one of my main interests is public leadership. And we became friends, and from very different backgrounds. I didn't have much of an education, Yale, Harvard, working in the White House. And we became very close friends. And his wife reminded me after his funeral that we would talk every Sunday. And it's like, I know you might have friends or acquaintances you talk to regularly. I didn't even realize that we did that. We'd share books, talk about what was going on in the world. And it was very much a part of my life. And he was a wonderful person.
So he was someone you would communicate with frequently?
Well, if I was bitched out about the government, I'd call David, or we'd be talking about what was going on in the CPL, and we were talking about fundraising for CPL or interviewing professors for CPL, and raising money for fellowships. It was pretty much focused about government public interest things, because that we had in common. He was a lawyer, and I sold apparel, so.
Would you say that you talked to Mr. Gergen more frequently than you talked to Mr. Epstein?
Oh,
of
yes.
course, prior to you and Mr. Epstein terminating your...
Yeah, I talked to him more regularly. I wouldn't have remembered the repetition or the periodicity. Ann Gergen told me that after David's death, how much he looked forward to our Sunday calls. And I don't know, as you get older, sometimes you look back and somebody touches your life and you don't realize, that you're calling him every Sunday. Because that was just, like you brush your teeth every Sunday. I'd call him or he'd call me.
Apologies, I'm going to switch gears quite a bit here. We were discussing a lot earlier that the property that Mr. Epstein had owned that was, I believe you characterized as adjacent to your property, formerly Jack Kessler's house. When, at any point, did people need to use your gates or go through your property to access that house?
No, the properties weren't connected. There's kind of a woods between them and fields. There was no driveway. They were separate. It would be a struggle to walk between the two on foot.
Understood. Speaking about your boat design and manufacture and boat launch has been mentioned a couple times here today. Did Mr. Epstein ever travel with you or board your yacht at any point?
Not that I recall.
Did Miss Maxwell ever travel with you on that boat at any point?
Absolutely not.
Were there any other boat trips that you and Mr. Epstein would have taken together at any point?
None. I don't think I ever went anywhere on that boat without my wife and family.
Understood. Do you use any aliases or nicknames when you communicate with people you're associated with?
No, less. Sometimes LHW, that's it.
Are you aware of Mr. Epstein having any aliases or nicknames that he would commonly use?
No,
Are you aware of Miss Maxwell having any aliases or nicknames that she would commonly use?
no.
When speaking about your boat, you seemed to be very certain that Miss Maxwell had never taken any type of boat trip with you. Is there a reason why you were more sure about her not attending any boat trips with you?
Because it couldn't be, I'm not sure that, I know that Jeffrey didn't take any boat trips with me. That's for sure. And so I might not have perfect recall, but I'm positive he never took any boat trips. So I'm positive that she never took any boat trips because I only saw her a couple times in my life.
Understood. Are you aware of, let me back up first. Mr. Epstein did a lot of foreign travel. Would you say that's an accurate statement?
That's kind of I want to answer because I don't want you to be tricking me. I thought he traveled a lot. When I thought he traveled a lot, once I knew he was a fraud, I don't believe he traveled at all. I mean, he'd tell me he was in Switzerland, he'd tell me he was anywhere in the world, and I believed him. That son of a bitch could have been in bed. I didn't know where he was calling from.
To the best of your knowledge, he would inform you that he was traveling all over the world.
Oh yeah, I'm in Saudi Arabia working for the king. I'm in Switzerland talking to banks, and I'm really busy and I'm tired, and he'd hang up. So he would reach out to me erratically and sometimes frequently, but I never believed that he said, I didn't if my wife told me she was in Chicago, I would believe it. If my lawyer said he was in Columbus, I would believe it. If I call Matt up, I don't ask my lawyer from Columbus. I say, are you in Columbus or are you, in bed or wherever the hell you are? And I think that was part of Jeffrey's con. And it just grinds the hell out of me that he was so busy. But I don't believe any of it now. I think it was complete bullshit. And it was part of the con.
Understood. Is it fair to say that Mr. Epstein would flout that he had foreign contacts, whether it be foreign dignitaries or, contacts in foreign governments, something to that effect?
Do you mean flaunt?
Flaunt, yes, sorry, long day.
It's been a long day.
Yes.
Do you have any knowledge of Mr. Epstein holding citizenships in any other countries other than the United States of America?
No.
Have you ever seen Mr. Epstein possess any other foreign country's passport?
No. Or any passport, including an American one.
If Mr. Epstein was talking about connections he had with foreign nations or entities, is there anyone he would most commonly refer to when speaking to you?
He, over the period of time, mentioned a lot of them, and some he would repeat at some periodicity, some he would mention once, but it's kind of a muddle of, but it was a pretty regular flow,
Was there anyone he mentioned more often than others?
more often. Maybe several times he'd mention the Queen of England.
The Queen of England?
Yeah, the one that died.
Did you ever get the impression that Mr. Epstein was trying to get close with people of power, influence, wealth to better shield himself from any type of scrutiny?
No, it seemed to me that that was the milieu that he operated in. And so it made sense to me, in terms of advice he was giving me, that he was dealing with the most sophisticated people, and they were his clients.
And so, based off that response, would it be fair to say that you would believe that could be part of his con, was touting all of these connections he had all around the world?
As I look back at it today, I'm positive it was his con. I mean, as positive as I could know. I mean, the founders of Google, the President of the United States, the King of Saudi Arabia, go on and on. It was almost, every month I'm off to do this with that, or I'm going here and there. And he was in a trust position, and foolishly, I never questioned. He was just, that it wasn't just, they was bullshitting me, or these weren't really his clients.
And is it your testimony today that if Jeffrey Epstein was enriched by his connection to you, that all of that enrichment was gained through theft, deceit, and or without your knowledge?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Do I know where Jeffrey got his money? I know he stole money from us. I believed he had substantial income from these make-believe clients that afforded him the lifestyle that he had. That made sense to me.
And you got engaged in 1992. Do I have that correct?
September 8th, 1992.
And you were married then in the following year, 1993.
1, 2, 3. That's how I remember that one.
And at any point after your engagement and your ultimate marriage, did you ever engage in any extramarital affair or sexual contact with anyone other than your wife?
No one. I'm really happy you asked that question. that connected to? Oh.
Is it, Mr. Wexner, is it your testimony here today that Mr. Epstein's wealth came from not only yourself, but also this extensive network of clients that also were wealthier, otherwise influential individuals?